What challenges and opportunities does the explosion of digital learning raise for improving education equity? And I can speak to Simon's, he may have had a mention of MOOCs and how MOOCs were this first touted as a great salvation for education, and then they fizzled out a bit. At least the wide-scale corporate MOOCs or the large Ivy League institution MOOCs. And we actually did some research a while back, and we've looked at a number of different papers, kind of a lit review, in terms of who MOOCs actually served. And it was really interesting to see that although they were, when they first came out, this is like education for the masses. This is anyone who doesn't have the money for a college degree, who doesn't have really good access or a formal education could have these. Could participate in university-level classes from around the world, from some of the best institutions in the world. And we found that people who were actually taking MOOCs, first of all, had to have really good, reliable internet access. They most likely had already someone with a college degree, that they already were quite educated, people who were taking them. Most likely they would have to be able to speak English, which again is a different type of audience. That they would have lots of available time to them, which I thought was something really interesting, that really people having available time that they can actually spend time learning was one of these prerequisites of people taking MOOCs. And certainly a lot of information literacy. There had to be a high degree of information literacy even to participate in an online course. So although some of the best intentions around courses and technologies, there's these beautiful ideas that come within technologies, but often they don't actually serve the access that we need. So abundant, as we talked about the idea of abundant content, we still have to think about the issues of equity that come along with these, and our responsibilities as ed leaders to allow for better access and equity to these particular tools. So if we can spend some time on that. Number 3, what challenges and opportunities does the explosion of digital learning raise for improving education equity? And this was interesting because this is where the Twitter feed wasn't quite as pronounced. This is a more difficult question. And it's also a question that's more difficult to ask online, but it's a question that we have to continue to answer. Some questions don't, it's hard to answer those things online sometimes. It feels vulnerable. It feels a bit different because it's such an important issue, but it seems deeper. And so we have to also think about what questions are muted by the technologies. What questions are better asked in consultation, face-to-face, in those particular ways? How do we bring in stakeholders for questions like that? But I think